Welcome to Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information about your Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content to stay up to date with everything Steelers. But let's get rolling. PJ Watt gonna play both left and right edge this year. It's sounded more and more like the team is moving in that direction. TJ Watt last year, following the playoff loss to the Ravens, spoke about wanting to be more versatile on the defensive side of the ball, wanting to be able to create more splash plays, saying that last year's performance wasn't good enough and that it didn't meet his standard. The standard is the standard compared to the previous three healthy years for TJ Watt, where he led the league in sacks every year. Definitely a down season. Last year's stats: 61 tackles, 19 tackles for a loss, 11 and a half sacks, 6 forced fumbles, which led the league, 4 pass defenses, 27 QB hits. I mean, any other player, those are stellar numbers, and you're like, we take that. TJ Watt, now the highest paid non quarterback in the history of the NFL, gonna have to find a way in his old age to produce, to keep up the upper echelon production that he's had in his career so far. And that, I mean, moving from side to side really can help out, can help him avoid double teams, can help him attack matchups, mismatches. If there's a weaker side, definitely want TJ Watt rushing that side instead of Alex Highsmith or Nick Herbig or Jack Sawyer, whoever is going to be his rush partner. They're going to eat because TJ's going to get most of the attention. But we want TJ getting the weaker opponent because we want him wreaking havoc back there, wrecking it all in the backfield every Sunday, creating turnovers. That's what he does. He's a turnover machine. I mean, it's crazy that he says his production is down last year when you lead the league in fumbles with 6, and he only seems to get better with that punch technique straight to the ball. So I'm expecting way more fumbles once again this year. I'm expecting him to probably lead the league once again, and I hope this year he can return to the sack king and hopefully bring home that second defensive player of the year award. But also, the rest of the team seems to be following this. Jack Sawyer spoke about the rest of the linebackers and edge rushers taking reps at both sides, saying this is in an act to get more versatile on the defense, make it harder for opposing teams' offensive lines to have a game plan for the Steelers' pass rush. So I think this is all going to work out for the team. This should just make us more unpredictable for opposing teams' offensive fronts. Let's move on to the secondary now. Jalen Ramsey seems to be fitting the culture really well. Jalen Ramsey's a football guy, and the Steelers, Pittsburgh, football town, football team, as football as it gets. And Jalen Ramsey, I think, really enjoys that. He was on Ryan Clark's podcast, the Pivot podcast. My main two takeaways: first off, Jalen Ramsey's really enjoying being a Steeler. He talks about the culture of Pittsburgh and the Steelers, just how intertwined the city and football is. He also talks about his respect for the coaching staff and Mike Tomlin, and just how there's no black and or how there's no gray area in Pittsburgh. It's all black and white. You either are doing your job or you aren't, and he likes that. And I think that's an approach you need for a player like Jalen Ramsey. I think he hasn't really been coached like that much in his career, but I think it will end up being a match made in heaven in the coaching style if the team does perform well. If it gets a little shaky, then like if the record starts slipping, Jalen Ramsey, it starts becoming a loose cannon. You don't know, but hopefully that never happens. And this is just a match made in heaven. My second takeaway, though, Jalen Ramsey's going to be everywhere on this defense. We've already heard Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin talk about Jalen Ramsey and his versatility he brings to the defense in July. Jalen Ramsey now on the podcast talking about how they're going to give him the freedom basically to play any position. Cornerback, you're going to see him at. Free safety, you're going to see him at. Nickel, you're going to see him at. Uh, he said he's even willing to play positions he's never played before in the league. Wouldn't be surprised if there's not a linebacker formation kind of with Jalen Ramsey in it. Wouldn't be too surprised for passing downs. But I'm really excited to see. We know the Steelers thrive and how they operate with uniqueness. And Jalen Ramsey brings that sort of uniqueness the Steelers thrive with. He's able to do anything you ask him to do. He has the physical gifts, all the athletic gifts, and the mental gifts at this point in his career to be able to do anything in the secondary. And I'm excited to see what defensive coordinator Carol Alston schemes up this year for Jalen Ramsey and this defense because I have high hopes for what this defense can do and how they might be able to carry this team to a playoff win this year. Let's move on though to the injury update this week. Two positive updates I have to give here actually. Two star players giving updates on injury. Calvin Alston, he's been out the last 2 weeks with a minor abdominal muscle injury. Uh, he's now day to day working to get back on the field. That's per Mike Tomlin, per head coach. So that's great to hear. Also, positive Alex Highsmith updates. He said he's feeling great. Great. He also thinks he should be back out on the field and ready to play soon. That's great news. Honestly, wouldn't want anything to linger, so I'd play it more safe than sorry with Alex Highsmith and give him a little more time off just in case you don't want anything to be still injured in there that he just doesn't feel, and then he retweets it. Let's give him a little bit extra time to heal up before the regular season because that's when we really need him because him and TJ Watt are one of the best pass rush duos in the league. Let's wrap up today's show though with some players that need to who I think need to ball out against the Buccaneers in this second week. The first two wide receivers that trying to earn a role on this team or a spot on this team. Roman Wilson and Roth Taylor. Roman Wilson fighting for a starting position on this team. Roth Taylor fighting for just any role on the depth chart for this team. Two guys who made a couple catches, both had 2 receptions. I think Roman Wilson had 24 yards, Roth Taylor had 39 yards or so. Uh, so both of them showed a little bit of flashes last week. And two players who I'd like to see get in the end zone show a little bit more flash. I think these two guys really can have an impact on this team. With Roman Wilson this year, an instant impact for Rock Taylor. I think a player that can develop for the future if he can stay here long enough. I know with these undrafted free agents, you never know. But I really do like the undrafted free agent, Rock Taylor. So I'd like to see him on the team for a while. And I'd like these two to have a great performance so they can keep rising in the depth chart. Second player, running back Caleb Johnson. Very disappointing first week of action against Jacksonville. 8 rushes for 20 yards, 2.5 a carry. 7 yard run was his longest run. Yeah, I mean, our run blocking hasn't been the best for a while now, for sure, but just very upsetting to see. I mean, I've been praising him for weeks now, so I would definitely like to see a better performance by Caleb Johnson in the second week against the Bucs. I know it's very dependent on how the O line performs for him, but I definitely would like to see the rushing numbers just in general for the team go up this week. And finally, the second string defensive front really didn't do much in that last week for us. I kind of would like to see him get a little more pressures on the quarterback, a little more QB hits, maybe a sack or so, just anything, just so we know in case one of our star on the defensive front goes down, we have someone that can sub in and still be productive. That's all I'm asking for. That's really all I'm asking for because I was kind of disappointed by the performance last week by the backup defensive line. So I'd like that to kind of get better this week against the Buccaneers. But that has been this episode of Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Dennis, and I will see you tomorrow.